Góðan daginn! Welcome to Project Pal. Hey! My name is Gunildur. I'm an Icelander, live in Iceland, and this is my podcast. I talk about knitting, crocheting, yarn, anything fiber related whenever I learn something new because, dear lord, you can get fibers anywhere to work with, like, just. I also talk quite a bit about the weather because the weather affects everything, particularly in like wintertime when we have a lot of snowfall. Particularly, so slowing down a little bit. As I said, I'm an Icelander and I live in Iceland. I live in the eastern part of Iceland. And fun fact, when there's heavy snow on the western part of Iceland, my internet connection goes down, which is annoying. It's a fact of life, but it is annoying. Also, when there's heavy rainfall on the opposite side of the country, my internet connection goes down. There's a correlation there. Anyway, let's see. Also, for the past, like, how many months is it now? I think it's about 4 months. We've had a volcanic eruption in the southwestern part of Iceland, on the Reykjanes Peninsula. It has been so much fun watching this, like the development of this eruption, because it started out like no one expected it, like absolutely no one. But because you know, when you have like a country such as Iceland, smart people who like to think way ahead, more than I do. I barely think a day ahead. But smarter people who really realize that for the safety of the nation, we kind of need to think about things like way advanced. They have made scenarios about every possibility of eruption here in Iceland, and the current eruption is in an area that had very low probability percentage, but there you go. So it started out as this like crack or fissure that what came about so quietly. It didn't ring any, like, it took me so long just sitting here staring into space, trying to remember what the word was that I wanted to use. But yeah, this eruption, it didn't trigger any of the equipment that the smart people use. Smart people that the scientists use to watch things. So that was fun. I mean, it was really interesting waking up. What time was it again that it started? I know, hearing on the news that, oh yeah, by the way, there's an eruption over there, and it's like, that doesn't sound like a smart area, but it actually turned out to be probably the absolute best area for eruption on the peninsula, because yes, it is reasonably close to our capital, Reykjavik. Like my youngest sister, she can see the light from the eruption from her living room, but it is far enough away from all infrastructure. There aren't any settlements like nearby. It is up in the like mountains, so it has been not the easiest to get there, even though they had to make roads and paths for people to get there, because here's the interesting thing about human beings. When they want to go see something, they're going to go and see it, even when it's literally the earth spewing forth fire and brimstone. And I am honestly rather amazed that so far we have not had any fatal accidents. I am honestly amazed. It's been, what, now close to 4 months, and no fatal accidents. But yeah, what's just the development of the eruption? It's been like, it starts at this like crack and fissure. There's been like little fire geysers. I think at most there were like 9. Then they developed into um like chimney type of craters, and then it keeps changing, and it has its ebb and flow, and periodically we thinking it's about done, and then it goes boom. So it's fun. Because it started out in the valley, and the valley is no more, mostly. And we might end up with mountains, so it's cool. But yeah. As for the knitting and crocheting portion of the podcast, I haven't really been crocheting so far. Like, I haven't been in the crochet mood. I do both of knitting, crocheting, and I do prefer having like one. Once he says, I do not have just one project going at any time. I don't want to even think. Now I'm thinking about it. How many projects do I have going? Film. 6, 8, 9. I think I only have 9 going at this time. No, wait, sorry, 10. I forgot the big blanket, but yeah. So I only have 10 projects going right now, and of that, there's only like 2 crochet projects, I think. Yeah, 2. Only. No, wait, sorry, that's 11. I glanced down. Well, anyway, so I currently have, apparently, as I remember so far, 11 ongoing projects, and some of them are just very, very long time projects, because my attention span isn't always the best, and some projects honestly are better fitted for certain periods of the year, or the day, or the mood, and they just fit where they fit. Like, for the most part, the projects I'm working on, they don't have a deadline, so I'm not worried about needing to finish this thing before this time, unless I want to use it. So yeah, unless I want to, be using them. Unless, of course, I'm crocheting shawls, like the super simple matted shawl that I did make a tutorial. Which, by the way, it feels rather awkward making your own tutorial. It's like, I do the thing, I'm trying to make it as clear as I can what I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm doing, and I hope it helps. But yeah, I'm not a tutorial channel. I'm just a person who likes to sit on her bed and talk about yarn with people who like yarn and working with it. So yeah, it's a bit weird saying, yeah, I put out a tutorial. That's just so not me. But anyway, that is one of my most favorite crochet projects to make, is that type of shawl, and that particular pattern, because it's so really simple. I don't need to think. And particularly, like, so currently I'm on my summer vacation, and this means that I am getting enough sleep, I'm getting enough rest, and I can do whatever I want when I feel like it, which is really, really weird. But for the most part of the year, I'm working, and when I'm done working, I do not have the presence of mind or the brain power to really, really always be able to think or count stitches. So something as simple as that netted shawl is just, I live for it. It's just, I'm not kidding, I think that pattern has kept me sane for the past year. But speaking of really, really simple patterns, so I have to admit, There you go. I have to admit that I only knitted a single row this week, but I did knit a row in my wish shawl. And this is definitely a a knitted type of shawl that is super simple. And honestly, it turns out so cute. I can't wait to get this finished so I can wash it and just block it and then start using it, because it's going to be a nice big juicy shawl. But I'm calling it the wish shawl, but I talked about this before. This pattern I actually found on Ravelry. It's for free over there. I'm gonna link it down below, because it is definitely a pattern that everyone needs to just have in their repertoire. And like, I wish to do something really simple, this shawl. And I call it the wish shawl because of this yarn that I got off Wish like 2 years ago. It's the Rainbow Line by Shale, and this absolutely gorgeous colorway. I love this yarn. It is so easy and simple to work with. There are next to no knots. There have been, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3, and like I'm on the 4th ball out of 5 so far. And yeah, there aren't really that many knots. I mean, considering. So, but yeah, I did manage to knit a single row, so I'm showing it off. But you know, the main reason why I only knitted a single row is it is rather heavy, because I do that weird knitting thing that I just realized like last winter, I think. I somehow taught myself to do a twisted stitch, and I have no idea how in the world I manage it, but you basically just go into the opening stitch, like you just go in the front leg instead of like no into the stitch. You just go into the front leg, and like I don't know how I did it, but yeah. So I feel it's a little like, it looks pretty. I like the stitch, but it does feel a touch, I don't know, maybe a little bit heavier, a little heftier. I don't know. I don't know how I managed to do it, but I keep doing it with this one because I've been working on this for so long. And if I suddenly started to do the stitches differently, that would just look so weird. So next time I work on this shawl, it should be able to do it correctly. But I mean, at least the good thing about knitting is that don't really do things wrong. All things considered, you just make you make a discovery. You figure out that, oh, that turns out different than I expected. Why? And then you find out it because you're doing the stitches a little bit different, and it's like, okay, well, now I know that I'm doing it differently, so I have another I don't know, stitch method to do. But the major thing that I wanted to show off is the fact that I managed to finish the second panel of my oversized pastel pullover. Look at it! And the thing that I absolutely adore, now that I've, actually done this, is that the 2 walls, hang on, where? Alright, so the foil pipe that you get from Ice Yarns, this is their Angora design. I'll be showing this for the umpteenth time, and for the umpteenth time I'm gonna link this yarn down below. It's been sold out for months, And for months, every time I've been checking the page to see if they have this gorgeous, gorgeous, fantastic, absolutely yarn available. It's always coming soon. How soon is soon? This is yarn coming back because I love it. And the thing that I absolutely adore is that I accidentally managed to pick completely opposite balls of yarn. So on the first one, here's one. It started on the yellow and moved through the stripes, right? And the second one that I started with a new ball, opposite, moves through the stripes and ends on slightly lilac-y pink. And then when I hold these up together, I made the delightful discovery that they are not the same, obviously, but they have opposite stripes. They match beautifully by being perfectly mismatched. I love it. But again, I have no idea how I'm gonna do the sleeves, so I'm probably just gonna put this to the side for a little while until I figure out how I want to make the sleeves. Like, I don't know. It's been what, about 2 months since I started this project, and I still don't know how I want to make the sleeves. Like, hey. But no, instead of just continuing with the visual or starting working again on like the lambkin blanket, what did I decide to do? I picked up this year that I bought off of Ice Yarn like I think about 2 years ago. It's this winter Shale yarn. Let's see, yeah. 30 gram balls, 150 meters. They are 90% acrylic, 10% polyamide in the color cream. But because they look fuzzy, and they are. Like, they have a absolutely gorgeous, wonderful fuzz. I really hope it's gonna wash well because it kind of feels, I know, feels a little bit like squeaky touching it, but it's fine. I'm going to work with it. Now this is my second pair of knitting needles. These are the Knit Pro. I started with this using one of my old steel 4.5mm knitting needles, but the points on those are too blunt to work with this yarn. It was an absolute headache and struggle to try and work with these stitches with the old steel ones that I really wanted to work with, but you know, that's how it goes. At least I have a variety, a choice on knitting needles. So I cast this on yesterday, Friday night. Today is Saturday, July the 31st. And the project that because I've had this sitting there mocking me for months because I really want to work with this. And I must be insane because the pattern that I really want to knit, the scarf, is this one. This is from a book called It is an Icelandic one. It was printed in 2010. Yeah. It's called The Pink Dream, and obviously I'm you know, words. I don't know if you can find this pattern precisely on the internet, but she does, the designer, whose name is Altoga? Oh, I thought they were like credits. Well, alright, so the designer's name is Haldora, and she does mention that a part of this pattern is inspired by there's this Japanese pattern book called 1000 Knitting Patterns, and I did look it up on Amazon to both the UK and American version, to, you know, just check it out. Not available in the UK. You could get through the US one, but the original was printed in 1992, I believe, and a copy of the book goes from somewhere between $100 up to $500 plus shipping. So no, I'm not. I may be a curious and bibliophile and a major collect, you know, with a collect thingamajig, but I no, that's a bit much. Also because there was a reprint in 2020, and that one is way more reasonable. Also, there have been, but still like rather expensive. But there are more pattern books in, you know, Japanese pattern books, and also just other pattern books. Like, I'm pretty sure you could find something similar in like the wool knitting. What's it called? It is literally called wool knitting. It's in my bookcase behind other things, so I'm not bringing it up right now. But you know, pretty soon you could find the same pattern. You could also maybe find it on Pinterest or something. Like, it's not national secret thingy, but yeah. Anyway, why am I rambling? It is a fairly simple pattern. The reason why I really want to knit it is because this is the pattern that broke me in, how long ago has it been? 10 years, 9 years, 8 years, cannot remember. This is the pattern that got me to stop knitting for close to a decade. Also because the yarn I was using was, do I have it here? No, I think I put it away. It is actually quite similar to this. And when you're an absolute beginner or a novice, maybe not the best place to be starting, but I have experience now. Also, I don't know, I just feel like whatever, I'm gonna give it a try. So yeah, I think that is it this week. Can't really think of anything else to say. I did finish like 2 of the books that I got last weekend. I finished the Unmentionable book, which is the Unmentionable, the Book of Unmentionables by Therese O'Neill, which does have a picture of from Norway in the early like 1900s of crocheted in what's it called? What's it called? Dang it! This book. Okay, it is called Unmentionable by, yes, Therese O'Neill. I did remember her name. But there's a picture here of, and Oh, don't you just love it when your brain just fixates on something and you're like, well, I mean, do we need to be mentioning this? No. Am I going to mention this? Yes. Why? Because that's how my brain works. There are... here we go. Oh yeah. 19th century Norwegian crocheted sanitary napkins. Which I find interesting not only because of historical significance and the history that doesn't really get mentioned, because, you know, there are some things that just don't fit. And because, you know, it's the soft history, it's the delicate history, it's the intimate history, it's the history of the household that doesn't make history. But I find it really interesting because we've had this conversation in my household from time to time about basically the historical evolution of sanitary hygienic tools and equipment, and it just makes me really happy that I live in the 21st century where I have, you know, things that I do have. But it still is important to remember history and just wonder, how did my grandmother solve this thing? How did my great grandmother solve these things? Did they have anything to like keep as clean as they possibly could? Because in some cases, no, they didn't. I know that some used like mosses or grasses. There were some plants that were more that were more favored for such as certain types of mosses because they were absorbent and weren't like chafing. And then finding this picture where they actually could crochet, like they actually had the material to make things. I mean, Iceland at the same time, Iceland was poor. Iceland has been historically very poor. So seeing this, it's like, well, my grandma didn't have that novelty. My great grandmother, they didn't have that. They had mosses. But still, the evolution of these things, it's fascinating. It's like, it also makes me, as I said, very grateful that I don't need to think about, you know, going to the backyard and pick up mosses and dry them to use. I am grateful. But yeah, so my pottery is about done. Somehow I managed to remember. But as I said, this is what I have this weekend, and I will see you next weekend or sooner. We'll see. Okay, bless.